Welcome to month 5 of Cat Den Mountain Quilts BOM, the 2019 Cheshire Quilters Guild block of the month. This month is block 5, Intertwined, and for that we have a lot of pieces to deal with. First thing we're going to do is we're going to take our squares of A and our squares of B, E, F, and G, and we're going to make some 2 patches. So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to press the seams on. I'm going to go sew them, and then I'm going to press the seams toward the dark, so it's going to look like this on all 4 pairs. And I'll meet you back here in just a minute. Okay, for the next step, we're going to sew each one of these to a rectangle. Now, the colors are kind of hard to see, so let me just go through. The D fabric is going to go with your F pairing, and we're going to press the seams toward the rectangle. So there's that pairing. The E rectangle goes with H. F rectangle goes with E. And the H rectangle goes with D. So I'm going to sew these on the right hand side. So I'm going to feed it in under my needle with this seam away so it doesn't get caught. Sew my 1/4 inch seam, and then I'm going to press to the added rectangle. So we'll have these corner units finished. I'll come back then and we'll see what we need to do to make our side units. Alright, we've got our corner units finished. So now we need to work on our side units, and they're going to be done in pairs. So you're going to have a pair that are going to use fabrics D and E, and they're going to switch positions. And then you'll have another pair that'll use fabrics G and H, and F and H, and again they will switch positions. So what we need to do is for each one of these little squares, we want to draw a line on the back. And then we're going to just put it on the corner, and we're going to stitch, flip this back, trim a 1/4 inch seam, and then press it out, flip it out. It's called stitch and flip, or snowballing a corner. So we're going to do that on all 8 of these corners. It's going to be the top corners. And again, as I said, you're going to do them in pairs. So fabrics D and E are going to be in one pair, and you're going to switch the positions between the 2. And then F and H on the other pair, and again switch the positions. So let me do that and meet you back here, and then we'll have one more unit to make, the center unit. So here are the side units, and it's in our pairs. Okay, so the next thing up is to make the center unit, and this uses partial seams. And it's very important for us to get the order of the fabrics around the center correct. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay out the block. So we lay it out like this. So you're going to have the same size fabric triangle against the rectangle, and if you just do that pairing, you'll get the right 4 sides. So what we want to do is we want to complete the block. So this is going to have the navy, this is going to have, which is fabric F, this is fabric E, this is fabric H, and this is fabric D. So the way in which we're going to do this is we're going to sew them onto this center square. So we're going to start by sewing on the fabric E rectangle, E, H, D, and then F. But when we do that, we're going to just sew a partial seam. So when I sew the first seam, I'm only going to sew half of this. And then I'm going to press the seam toward the rectangle, and then I'll add the next one, which I can sew the full seam, add this one, sew the full seam. This is going to be loose. I can sew this full seam, and then we can finish up this seam. So let me move these out of the way again. So I'm going to start again with fabric E, and to orient it the same way as the diagrams in the pattern. It's my square for A, here's my fabric E. I'm going to line it up with the rectangle even with the bottom of the square. And I'm going to sew just from the middle down. So I'm only sew half, or just part, it's a partial seam, just part of this side. I'll come back and show you the next step. Okay, so there's the first rectangle sewn on. So I'm going to rotate this counterclockwise, and I'm going to bring the next rectangle. That was fabric F. Sorry, that was fabric E. This is fabric H. So now I'm going to sew on the fabric H rectangle, and I can just do a full seam just like normal and press it out. Now the way I'm going to feed it into my sewing machine is this way, so that I don't inadvertently flip that seam up as it goes under the needle. So I'm going to sew on the next two sides, and I'll meet you back here. Okay, so now I have 3 on, and I'm pressing out toward the rectangles each time. So now it's time to put the 4th one on, and see there's nothing in the way for me to sew this 4th one on. And again, I'm going to make sure I keep this piece out of the way, and I'm going to lead with this under the needle so that I don't inadvertently flip that seam up. Meet you back here when I show you the last step in putting this unit together. Okay, so now that one's sewn on. So all that's left is to sew this last seam, and all we have to do is fold it back and make sure that we go over the top of at least a couple of these stitches and complete the seam. So that partial seam is now going to be completed. So we do like half, a full seam, first full seam, and then come back and do the other half of that seam. So let me do that, press it, come back, and then we'll look at what our block looks like. Alright, so there's our completed center unit. And now we're going to sew our 2 of our side units on like that. And the other side and corner units go like that. So we're just going to sew it together in 3 rows. And we're going to press the seams whatever way moves us. I'm probably going to press them open and then sew the 3 rows together. So I'll meet you back here when I have the block complete. And there you have it. Intertwined, Block 5 of the Cheshire Quilters Guild 2019 Block of the Month, Cat Den Mountain Quilt BOM. Next month, join us for Block 6, Summer Winds. See you then.